Hello and welcome back to Rev Endurance Sports and part 2 of using the track pump, floor pump for inflation on the Ritchey WCS wheel set. Now, a couple of things before we get started. These wheels were sent to me as a demo. So far I'm liking them, so who knows, I might end up buying them. But I'm going through just the typical stuff, right? I want to see maintenance-wise how easy they are to service. So I've done another video on taking the rear hub axle completely out of the free hub, of the hub. And then in a previous video, I did the rear tire with a floor pump on the high volume setting. As promised, today I'm going to do it on the high pressure setting. So in other words, much less air volume per stroke. But before we do that, I want to cover a couple of other things that came to mind. They recommend using an ammonia-free sealant. So generally here in the shop, I use for myself and shop if they have not objected to the orange coloring in orange seal on their clothing. I'll use orange seal regular. I don't use the endurance even for myself. And then stands. So if someone can provide a list below of ammonia-free tire sealants to help the other folks using these wheels. So you want a non-corrosive sealant. And Ritchey calls it out in their spec. Ammonia-free sealants only. Then another thing that I wanted to cover briefly is the tools that I generally use to install tires. A standard Pedro's tire lever, also in my toolkit on the road. And then this is a Cool Stop tire jack. And I like these for very, very stubborn tires. And the way this works is there's a little groove here. Let me come up closer so you can see it. There's a groove here that is going to go on the rim. And then this, which is not a real hook, it's just a 90, is going to grab the bead of the tire, and then you're going to pry it on. And it keeps slipping out, of course, because it's not a hook. It's just a 90-degree angle in there. All right, so for very stubborn tires, wheel and tire combinations, I use this guy. So make a comment down below as far as orange seal, if you're using the endurance, sub-zero, or regular. According to their own literature, the regular will seal better than the endurance. It will last the least of the three options, the endurance and the sub-zero. So if you are going to frequently maintain it, and you're not so worried about puncture resist or puncture sealing, then go with the either the endurance or the sub-zero. Sub-zero almost triples the amount of time that your sealant stays in a liquid form. All right, so let's get on with the tire installation. Now, I've done a previous video as well. If you don't really know how your front hub or wheel should be placed on your bike, generally follow the logos on your rear wheel. So, because not all wheels have their logo this way. If you're straddling the bike, you should be able to read the logo if it is a horizontal logo. But if it is, in this case, like this, where it just runs around the hub, then you need to follow the logo on your rear wheel. So in this case, the logo, it's 2 o'clock, is closest to the cassette. drive side. So this is going to be the drive side. I've already put the skewer on for my own orientation. Now, I've also mentioned in a previous video that I am using these Grand Prix 5000 STR in a Tour de France edition because the logos are very subdued, and I like that. I'd like to show you another little trick that I do to properly seat the tubeless valve. By the way, I mentioned in the unboxing video that they send with your wheels a tubeless valve, which head does not. So that's nice. You get a little bit, I don't know, $10 to $15 value there. So generally, you push that valve in with your thumb. You put the anchor nut on or locking nut on there. But when you look inside the wheel well, let's see if I can get that to focus. It's not in there far enough, and you got to push and push and push with your fingers, and that's not usually enough. So this is a star nut driver from Cane Creek, but you can figure out another different type of tool. So this is a star nut driver for forks. So I grabbed this guy. It literally fits right over the rubber bong, and I just give it a little tap. And that seats it. That seats it a little bit better, and then you'll see that you can get another turn or two, maybe even three, on your valve. All right, now let's move on to the tire installation. Of course, with your Grand Prix 5000s, shark fin going in that direction. Closest to me is the drive side. All right, and now we find the logo. In the rear tire installation, I didn't want to fight with the tire because I wanted to keep the video fairly short. So we're not going to fight with this one either. We're just going to straight away use our tire lever. Hopefully that's all in the shot. And a little bit of a struggle, but that's okay. This typically will indicate to me that it will seal pretty well with not needing a lot of air volume. All right, so there's one side. And I also mentioned in the rear tire installation that generally I end up at the valve if I've got a tube installation, because then I can push up on the valve and make sure the tube is not pinched. So let's see how far we can get on this guy. So pinch and then pull, 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 pull down towards the floor. Down, 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 down. And see how much excess you get. If you don't have enough, no problem. This is going to be a very tight installation, which to me pretty much tells me I should be able to do it with the lower volume, high pressure setting on the pump. This is an old pump that's been hanging around. This is actually Jesse's pump that was not working very well, so I took it completely apart, and it ended up being a shop pump. I bought her a brand new pump instead. Okay, so this is, in case you're not aware of what I'm talking about, you'll see here that there are two settings, and then your valve will have two settings. And I'm sorry that I can't get that to focus properly, but there you go, right? So let's go with a high pressure setting. And we've got the valve core in, which also restricts some of the airflow. So we've got the bead on both sides of the valve. I have it at the high pressure setting. Hopefully I'm still in the shot. Let me move my bike out of the way. And we're going to, yeah, look at that. So I'm very happy with the way I am able to use. Now just on the rear wheel, I didn't get a very loud, confidence-inspiring pop, pop, pop. So let's see if we can hear it this time. So, yeah, a little bit there. We're at about 75. Remember, this is the high. There's a little bit more. Remember, this is the high pressure setting. So every stroke is very little compared to the high volume stroke. All right, we're about 90, 95. All right, so that is very, very confidence inspiring for my home mechanics. You won't need a compressor. If you buy these wheels and you want to put on a, this is just this case scenario. But, you know, Continental 5000, if you're not riding these, you're missing out on a good ride, high performance tire, high grip as well. So I can only talk about this tire in a 28 with this rim. I don't know what else would work, but that was a very, very easy tire installation with the Ritchey WCS Zeta wheel set. In previous videos, I've mentioned that I'm rebuilding my my gray Ritchey, and I just did an unboxing video on a set of Jaguar Elite shift and brake cable system. So yeah, that's what's coming up next. So please like and subscribe. Make some comments down below about what you think about how easy that was to install a tire. And we will see you up the road.